So as NBA fans, we've been hearing a lot about positionless basketball, something that has really trickled down from that Salone Conference, aka the headquarters of the analytical crowd when it comes to the NBA or just overall sports. Allegedly, the mid-range is dead, even though in that time frame, Jimmy Butler has made the NBA Finals twice, Kawhi Leonard has won the NBA Finals, Jokic has won the NBA Finals, he utilizes the mid-range. Also Giannis, who doesn't even shoot three-point shots, and finally SGA, who not only completely dominates the mid-range, but he also is 100% an on-point playmaker around that high post area. But with that said, in more modern times, we're seeing Zion Williams play point forward. Same thing for Cooper Flagg, Jalen Johnson. Today's players do have the ability to play point guard, but just because you do have the ability does not mean you should 100% of the time. And that's where we're seeing that exact situation kind of run into a wall when it comes playoff time. Paolo Banchero does not look as effective. Jalen Johnson, we have yet to see him in the playoffs, but that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, if he could actually lead a team and get deeper into the rounds at that point forward position. Anthony Edwards is still trying to get over the hump and get into the finals. His decision making has improved, but he's still trying to get over that one last hurdle and just involve his teammates a lot more, sort of in a similar way that SGA does, and even Jason Tatum. Matter of fact, Tatum took quite a while to be the playmaker that we saw in that 2024 finals, and something that doesn't get said too much, the Boston Celtics had went out and made sure that they had 5 starters who could not only shoot, but could attack closeouts and make really smart decisions. Again, because a number of players coming into the league with point guard abilities does not necessarily mean that they can get you into certain rounds deep into the playoffs when they're going up against teams who have multiple players who are in sync defensively. LeBron James, as talented as he is, and especially when it comes to his IQ, took quite a while even after winning 2 MVPs to get over the hump. Devin Booker had his most successful season when he had a sort of over-the-hill Chris Paul alongside him. And the biggest example that doesn't get talked about too much, that shows that not every player who actually has point guard ability could be leading you deep into the playoff rounds, is the Paul George and Kawhi Leonard playoff series in the bubble going up against Jokic. The Clippers didn't have a point guard to get these guys the ball in their spots, and eventually there was too much responsibility on those 2 players to get the whole team involved while at the same time maintaining the scoring and playing well defensively. That ended up getting them caught up as they blew a 3-1 lead going up against Jokic. That series right there does not get talked about in those type of terms enough. The Clippers spent the following seasons trying to get some sort of traditional point guard on that team. But Sean Marion, aka The Matrix right here, talks about some of this positionless basketball, and low-key he really means a lot of the culture that's coming out of that Salone Conference affecting the on-court product. But at the end of the day, the positionless basketball gets exposed when you start getting into the second round of the playoffs, the conference finals, and the NBA finals. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
So what's up? I've been watching so much basketball the last 4 or 5 days, and from every level, youth, high school, college, and pros. And one of the biggest things, I think, with all this positionless basketball, I think we have forgot to truly define the positions again. I know with a lot of these players being versatile and playing more than one position, you still got to go back to the basics of understanding what a true point guard is, what a shooting guard is, what a small forward is, what a power forward, and what a center is.
Now also, let me say this. When they talk about positionless basketball, you notice that they only talk about it on the offensive end. But what about defensively? When you see players like Luka Doncic doing what he does, completely killing it on the offensive end, we never tend to hear the Salone Conference guys mention how much for the lack of defense it takes away from the offense. Again, we're still yet to see a very heavy analytical team win the NBA championship. The Golden State Warriors were formed by Jerry West, who has a basketball mind, keeping Klay Thompson on that team, them going along with Draymond Green, Harrison Barnes in the mid-range. Then eventually Harrison Barnes was replaced by KD, and the Warriors utilized the whole court. Again, the people from the Salone Conference never mentioned in the same era that they said the mid-range is dead, that Jimmy Butler, SGA, Giannis, Jokic, and Kawhi Leonard making the finals. Take that for data.
Now, so understand it. I mean, going back to just to define those positions itself, but then there's anomalies, of course. There's anomalies, and there's guys who going to exceed those positions by far. But when I say this to say because, you know what I'm saying, like you got a lot of people that's out of position, out of whack, they just can't, you know what I'm saying, and cutting it for us to be in positions that they're not comfortable in. And they can get comfortable over time, yes, but we're forcing the issue because it's positionless basketball with no plays, no organization, none of that stuff being had, though. That's the narratives right now, and that's the game. And you're gonna see a lot of teams in the postseason and in March Madness that's gonna lose because they don't have the traditional mindset. They turn the ball over like 40 going north. So like, listen to what I'm saying. This is the part where we gotta get back to truly defining what these guys and what you're able to do on the floor in the position, but then you can exceed those. And there's, you know, like I said, you can get better. You ain't got to just be limited to one position. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just learn the fundamentals of what those positions do, and then shoot for the stars, aim for the stars. But we got to get back to that.
Well, you heard it from the Matrix himself, NBA champion, multiple time All-Star. I mean, he has plenty of seasons where he's averaging well over 2 steals a game. But going back to what he said, we're really mainly seeing the results of positionless basketball not working once you get deep into the playoffs, and especially at the point guard position with the amount of turnovers, guys not getting easier offense. Of course, the game gets slowed down. It's more of a half-court situation. Referees tucking in their whistles. The people coming out of the Salone Conference, they get quiet around that time. Your analytics begin to look compromised and predictable. But it is what it is. Pay attention to the teams with the younger stars that are on the come-up. The Jalen Johnsons, the Paolo Bancheros, Zion Williams playing that point forward, Cooper Flagg. How well will this work when these guys begin to get into the second round conference finals? Could they even be in position to get that far into the playoffs? This is where we begin to see this ideology just unfolding, especially at that point guard position. The lack of organization, the flow of the offense, the game is slowed down a little bit. The referees tucking in their whistles. We'll see though. Time reveals all.